Canada's Donald Trump. That's how Pierre Poilievre has been referred to in various political circles and by voters for years. But is that really a lie? Or is it just the Conservative Party marketing trend to benefit from Trump's fate and success? Let's find out. Tenik, the director of the last three Conservative elections campaign, said in a recent interview that Poilievre is acting too Trumpy.
It all sounds a little too Trumpy for a lot of the voters.
According to his analysis, this has discouraged voters and is the reason the Conservative Party has gone from predictions of a landslide victory to a technical tie with the Liberals. But Donald Trump, on the other hand, has repeatedly insisted that Poilievre is not one of his own.
I think his biggest problem is he's not a MAGA guy, I mean, he's really not. He's not a Trump guy at all. I don't like what he's saying about me. It's just not positive about me.
So who's right? Let's compare Trump and Poilievre on key issues and see how high the Canadian Prime Minister candidate ranks on the Trump meter. Let's start with something simple: their background and their vision. Trump was born rich and had financial support from his father to expand the family business and his personal brand. Some of his business failed, but according to Forbes, he still maintains a net worth of over $5 billion and has influential connections with major global companies. He didn't formally enter politics until 2016, but already served one term as president. Poilievre's story is different. He was raised by a regular family and later became wealthy. He started in politics as a teenager, and while he founded a short-lived company and made some investments, most of his wealth comes from political career. He served as a Minister of Employment and Social Development and as a Minister for Democratic Reform under Prime Minister Stephen Harper. So, Trump thinks like a businessman, and Poilievre like a career politician.
When government is in control of the economy, the bigger, the stronger, and the more powerful forces always get ahead. They can use money to acquire political power, and political power to acquire yet more money.
Trump's vision is nationalist, mixing economic liberalism with interventionism and protectionism, and he's staunchly anti-globalist. Poilievre identifies as a neoliberal follower of Milton Friedman. Although he's critical of globalism, he prioritizes economic relationships and global society. So, Trump's approach is more about running the country like a big business, while Poilievre wants to reduce regulations and government control over business.
The entire piece was about making the government small and maximizing personal freedom.
On immigration, Trump has called it a national emergency and enacted measures to carry out the largest deportation campaign in U.S. history. Poilievre, while is open to deporting temporary visa holders who overstay or commit serious crimes, does not plan a mass deportation.
We must deport from our country any temporary resident that is here on a permit or a visa that is carrying out violence or hate crimes on our soil.
Trump's immigration rhetoric is harsh and nationalist. He's pushed to limit programs that allow permanent residence for investors and international students. Poilievre, though critical of the current high immigration levels, identifies as pro-immigration and pro-refugee. He wants to cap new immigrant numbers based on the capacity of essential services, housing, and healthcare, estimated at around 200,000 newcomers per year. Both want to strengthen border security, but Trump goes further, proposing economic sanctions against neighboring countries over immigration control.
I will take back control of our borders.
So Poilievre's stance is more pro-immigration and less interventionist, paying little attention to parts of his base calling for a full immigration pause.
We welcome the people who come from places that have been afflicted by war and reminding people that when they get here, they are Canadian first.
On the housing crisis affecting both countries, Poilievre wants to replicate some of Trump's first-term policies, removing regulations, waiting times, and taxes on builders. The results in the US was mixed. It eliminated subsidies for affordable housing, and the problem persists today.
Cut development charges to build. The provinces should be pressured to take their sales tax off.
According to Poilievre, this will cost $16 billion in annual tax revenue and doesn't address sector demands to ease financing in order to boost building capacity. One of the bigger differences now lies in tariffs. Trump's policies affected materials prices, while Poilievre wants to control provincial and local housing policies.
And I'm going to say to the municipal governments, they either speed up permits, cut development charges, and free up land, or they will lose their federal infrastructure money.
On economic independence and trade, Trump follows a model inspired by former President McKinley, based on high tariffs and protectionism.
President McKinley.
William McKinley, highly underrated.
Well, he was a big tariff president. He was a strong believer in tariffs.
Poilievre is much more neoliberal and supports free trade, except with China.
Dajahao. My name is Pierre Poilievre.
And considers tariffs only as a defensive tool in exceptional situations. They do agree in one thing: strengthening domestic production and resource extractions to reduce dependency on other countries. Trump sees this through as almost isolationist protectionism, while Poilievre promotes deregulation and export diversification.
This is a tax cut that will put Canada first.
Poilievre has also pushed for selling Canadian liquefied natural gas to Europe and Japan. But US market saturation and Russia's potential return to the gas market could block Canada's entry.
I intend to approve refineries and LNG plants and hopefully pipelines so that I can bring that production back to Canada.
On healthcare, both defend their respective national systems. These make a big difference between public and private models. Poilievre wants to allocate money to key services by cutting other expenses. However, increasing federal healthcare funding will depend on revenue growth, despite his proposed tax cuts.
We'll unleash the productive forces of our economy so there is more money available to support healthcare.
On new social rights, both Trump and Poilievre have usually made attacking woke culture a major talking point, but they don't always align.
Woke movement. You criticize me for not being woke.
Woke activists.
This wacko policy by this wacko prime minister.
On equal marriage, Trump declared against it during the 2016 campaign, but never repealed it. Poilievre voted against it in 2005, but reversed his position in 2020, and now supports it. Trump, however, rolled back trans rights this year. Poilievre voted in favor of criminalizing conversion therapy in 2021 and maintains that stance.
Well, I'm not aware of any other genders than men and women.
On abortion, both call themselves pro-life. Trump's left to individual states to legalize, and Poilievre said in 2022 he wouldn't introduce any new abortion laws.
A Poilievre government would not introduce or pass legislation restricting abortion.
On climate change, Trump has always been skeptical. He pulled the US out of the Paris Agreement and lifted air pollution limits on domestic factories. Poilievre acknowledged climate change as support international cooperation, but by removing economic growth barriers. His flagship measure is repealing the carbon tax, though the customer portion is already suspended pending parliamentary approval. His very neoliberal carbon solution involves attracting companies to Canadian soil, where production is cleaner than in many other countries.
It's a global problem with a local solution. And that solution is to bring home our production and paychecks.
However, he hasn't clarified how he'll maintain manufacturing standards while removing regulations. And finally, one of the reasons why Poilievre is often compared to Trump's is his tense and combative relationship with the media, something that has both fans and critics.
Je vous permets pas de m'interrompre. Je vais...
Wait, let's see. I want to find a friendly reporter.
You're not changing the subject. I know you want to change the subject.
I'm not going to give you a question. Can you state categorically? You are fake news. Sir, go ahead.
Well, like which people would say that?
Well, I'm sure a great many Canadians, but...
Like who?
And that's where Poilievre stands on the Trump matter. Do you think that's too little, or maybe too much? Like people say, both repel each other. Maybe that's why Poilievre went from idolizing Trump to criticizing him, and Trump from ignoring him to belittling him. Will they be able to negotiate someday?
This is a former businessman who can spot weakness a mile away.
So that we can be strong enough to stand up to Donald Trump.
The conservative that's running is stupidly no friend of mine. I don't know him, but he said negative things. So when he says negative things, I couldn't care less.
Disclaimer, this is not an election video, nor is in favor or against anyone. I already covered the Liberal candidate in my previous video, and I only use official information. This is not a personal opinion. If you want to add anything, the comment section is all yours. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, feel free to give a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more videos like this one, go ahead and subscribe. I upload regularly. I am Keep Keepy, thanks for watching, and au revoir!